And my connection is poor.
Live streaming is on.
Okay. All right. Let me put you back on mute, Gina, because for some reason I saw I could see you. I can't see me. Okay, I can see me. So hey. Okay, so it's streaming to YouTube now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So at least it's streaming to YouTube. I know a lot of people got to get back in new. So if you're new to new, and you don't know what is new, new is the social media platform that I developed and launched last year. The website is new.social, and that is where I'm going to be keeping a lot of my content. I know I haven't been around, for a little bit, but been really busy, busy with Guapcoin and stuff like that. But here we go on the helms of Mercury Retrograde, and which is it's all about going back, right? And getting it right. You get ample opportunities to get something right and to fine tune things. I'm going to start out by giving a little background on Mercury Retrograde, because people have Mercury Retrograde all jacked up, kind of what it is, and why they say that you shouldn't do certain things. Mercury Retrograde really is, of course, we know that the planet doesn't go backwards, but the energy intensifies. We come into 3 station positions when Mercury turns retrograde. There's a station position when we are slowing down, when we are appearing to approach Mercury, and it appears to stop. And that's when we station retrograde. And then it's when it comes back around and then it goes direct. Now, as we're approaching Mercury, we're actually getting, I guess you could say, getting closer to Mercury, and Mercury enhances or influences our mental state. So as we approach Mercury and we're getting closer, our powers of manifestation get more powerful, right? So we always look at Mercury retrograde as this thing that debilitates us. Well, it debilitates you because it gives you more power, right? And power, it's like when you're giving power to a child, you're giving them too much power. What do? They mess things up. They destroy things, right? So imagine, having enhanced power and, uncontrollable thoughts. Because, see, that's the thing with humanity, most of humanity. We don't do enough to control our thoughts. We just kind of let our thoughts take over, right? Whether it's negative, positive, or whatever. So we're wondering why one of our exes shows up during the retrograde, or we get a call, because you psychically linked with that person during, the shadow or whatever. You put out that mental beacon and you connected. Obviously, you're sharing that energy space, because if that person shows up, that means you're holding their card, right? And when you're holding their card and their energy, of course, you're being reminded of that person, right? And you're being reminded, and you think about that person, then the person shows up, right? So maybe you don't think about the person, but maybe you think about the relationship. Maybe you think about your feelings during that time. Some sort of link to this person, may evolve either shortly prior to the retrograde or during the retrograde, right? And then poof, here they are, right? Then we talk about accidents and things of that nature. And accidents are usually caused during this time by heightened thought patterns. Like you're talking about anxiety, worry. Maybe the person that hit you had a tremendous amount of anxiety in their mind. They were not focused, obviously. They were focused on something else. Maybe you hit somebody who, and you were not paying attention, or you were focused on something else, So again, I learned a lot about Mercury retrograde by studying people who were born with Mercury retrograde, Mercury in retrograde, right? And they literally are some of the most overthinkers that you could possibly meet. They think a lot, they pontificate, they may suffer from anxiety and worry. All of the things that you would find, that's you, Gina. All of the things that you would find characteristic of everybody during the retrograde, that's how they are normally, right? So I actually have a friend who was born during the retrograde as well. And yeah, she's like a walking Mercury retrograde. She even repeats her words. So she might say something that is, significant. She may say something twice or three times, I pay a lot of attention to these things because these people are the living representatives of these energies. And if you want to learn about these energies, pay attention to the people. That's what we learn in cardology, right? Same thing for astrology. These people will show you these aspects, right? So, when you put it in the perspective of how Mercury retrograde is really a heightened state of a manifestation and awareness, you should also know that this is also a window of opportunity always, right? So imagine if your manifestation powers are that much powerful. What are you going to do? You're going to focus. You're going to write your plans down. You're going to get a little bit more structured so that you can use this opportunity to make some magic, right? So this particular retrograde has a lot of magic because not only do we have, Mercury retrograde, but we have the eclipse, the lunar eclipse that precedes it. And then we have the solar eclipse that follows it. And all of these eclipses and the retrograde, etc., these are all, tied into Mercury as well. I'm not actually sharing my current chart, but yeah. So currently Mercury is in Gemini. You got a lot of planets in Gemini. You even have Venus there, right? You got the North Node in Gemini and you got the Sun in Gemini. So you have all of these planets in Gemini, right? And all of these points in Gemini. And then you have this lunar eclipse that's actually taking place in Sagittarius, which is opposite Gemini. But the Sun, which is a part of this lunar eclipse, is in Gemini, right? So this is like Gemini on steroids, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because Gemini is very fortunate. Mercury is a very fortunate energy. When you're talking about hermetic sciences, when you're talking about manifestation and alchemy and everything, that's all very mercurial, very Mercury, right? When you're talking about magic, very Mercury. When you're sitting there and you're putting together your spells, or you're writing down your intentions and you're writing these things on a piece of paper, or you're praying, you're doing all of these mercurial things, to make something happen. So imagine now it's like that energy is super intensified, right? Because we have, hold on a second. We have, right. So we have the eclipse coming up in a couple of days. I didn't write down all of this stuff. I don't remember stuff, right? So actually the eclipse is coming up on the 26th, right? So you have the eclipse coming up on a 6 of clubs day. Now, all of these aspects, with the exception of the solar eclipse that's coming in June, the retrograde and the lunar eclipse are both in clubs signs. So again, we deal with mental stuff. We're dealing with mental, we're dealing with thoughts, we're dealing with that type of stuff, right? And a lunar eclipse is a full moon. You know what I mean? So full moons are not bad. I know we hear the word eclipse And it just like gets your heart beating. You're like, oh, because it's like taking something away. But eclipses are like those wild cards that remove obstacles. So don't think of it necessarily as taking something away. Think of an eclipse as removing an obstacle. You know what I mean? So we all have obstacles. We all wonder why a certain thing has not happened for us, and we've been working so hard, right? Because there may be obstacles, there may be stubborn obstacles. And these are the things in particularly that eclipses can deal with, especially a lunar eclipse, because most of our stubborn obstacles are emotional related. They're related to attachments, right? So if you are having difficulty overcoming an obstacle and achieving something, it may be connected to something that you are attached to in an unhealthy way. It could be a person, it could be an idea, it could be a place, it could be a thing, it could be the past. It could be a combination of things that you are so stubbornly attached to that you cannot manifest what you're trying to manifest because it needs to manifest in a different way, right? But you are attached to the way that you're doing it. And on top of that, you might be attached to the outcome. You know what I mean? So unhealthy attachments are the number one thing that lunar eclipses can remove from your life, and begin to flush and release. I always tell people to look at a full moon as giving birth, right? That's why a lot of women give birth on a full moon, right? So a full moon is almost like one big old nine of spades, right? In cardology, we know what the nine of spades is. The nine of spades is that it's giving birth. It's like that aspect of think of a dam breaking, like whoosh, whether it's broken because you got to do surgery to break it and release it, or you got to do energy work to release it, or you got to do prayers to release it. It's still something breaking wide open. I want to check over real quick and see if people are getting me over. So they're over on YouTube, right? So think of it as breaking, erupting, right? So during this time, we're going to see some eruptions, right? So if you're experiencing any pain at this time, there may be something that is erupting in your body, right? There may be things that have been stagnated for a long time and need to be released, So it's a good thing when it's good when these things are coming, so that you could begin to work on them consciously, so that you don't get hit out of the blue. It's just the eclipse part of it, kind of just get hit suddenly, boom, with an eruption that you could have been working on yourself and just kind of making that, easing that energy so it doesn't have to be so severe. So again, this is about overcoming obstacles, breaking through restrictions, breaking through blocks. And this particular lunar eclipse is making a square to Jupiter. So it's a little bit of luck, right? So, and again, we see something scary. We see a square to Jupiter, like, whoo, you know what I mean? But again, these are not bad things. And maybe we need to change the terminology to some things so that we won't be so afraid when we hear eclipse, square, and astrologers don't help because, they can make these things very scary sometimes. We're already on enough edge, because the Mercury retrograde is a 3 of clubs, and that's a lot of anxiety. So Mercury retrograde is already throwing anxiety and worry at us and fear, so we may be having unnecessary fear about something that is really, really great. Something that it could be life-changing for us in a positive, and not could be, something that is life-changing for us in a positive way. Hey, so I think somebody popped in. You may want to mute yourself. You can hear kind of all in your background. So when I said a stroke of luck, right? Definitely this lunar eclipse, right? These are opportunities, right? Because you got that square, that sudden square that may be an opportunity. But you got that eruption, you got that graduation that is a result of some work you've been doing to prepare for this time, right? So some of the things you can look back in, and I'm going to talk about some of my experiences. I had some experiences, some disappointments, 9 of Clubs. I had a financial disappointment with something that I was expecting simply because of a small error in my paperwork, right? Which Mercury Retrograde, 3 of Clubs, is dealing with paperwork. So that is, again, that is an obstacle that I suffered. I could have gotten upset. I could have been like devastated, but I only saw it as a temporary obstacle and a delay that would release itself, right? So I'm finding during this time that I'm learning a lot of lessons about paperwork, right? So it's not just that. I'm getting paperwork left and right. I'm getting contracts thrown at me left and right all of a sudden. 3 of Clubs, contracts, right? So the fulfillment that's coming for me with this lunar eclipse, and this is a full moon in Sagittarius, a full moon, Sagittarius full moon lunar eclipse, but that's still affecting the Gemini axis, which is my paperwork. You know, is this realization, number one, is expansion coming in my life in that area that involves that all of this Gemini stuff, all of this mental stuff. And these are goals. These are goals. These are plans. These are things that have been put in motion, right? Now, what you need to be doing to prepare for this is you need to be writing, right? You need to have your list. If you're working on manifesting and you're working on bringing something into fruition, this would be a great time to write. This would be a great time to write it down, to write what you want to manifest. It's not that the writing is actually the manifestation, what you're manifesting, but if you can bring yourself to write it down, that's how real it is for you. You know, and if it's that real, you're tapping into the real energy, you know? So think about it. Sometimes we want things, but we just can't write it down. We can't we can't commit to that thing. Like no matter what, it's so hard to commit to, right? So a big major piece of this is a commitment and what you're willing to commit to. You know what I mean? That's the things that are yours. That's yours. The things that you're willing to commit to are the things that are your birthright, your destiny, because destiny is playing a big role here. That's another thing. That's why this is not just your typical lunar eclipse. This is not just your typical retrograde. All of these aspects are wrapped up in the signs where the nodes are right now. You know what I mean? So right now you have the North Node in Gemini, some more Gemini placement, which is dealing with your destiny at this moment, where you are going at this moment, right? Where you are going and where we are going collectively. So right now, the Gemini North Node is, the sun is approaching the Gemini North Node, right? So the sun is like lighting the way towards your destiny and things and bringing clarity to you, right? And not only is it bringing clarity, but it's shining the light. So this is an opportunity for you to be seen. You know what I mean? This is an opportunity for the light to be shine, for the light to shine on maybe some type of goal or communication or work that you have. Oftentimes, our stuff doesn't manifest because it's hidden, right? Like for me, for instance, I have a 10 of diamonds in Neptune. So sometimes my fortune hides, right? Neptune rules things that hides. So a lot of times I don't get seen. You know what I mean? And I went for years, you know, sometimes you think that people are ignoring you. No, you literally have a veil and you're not being seen. That's my situation, right? But my power is the King of Hearts because I sit in Mars for the King of Hearts. The King of Hearts has a 4 of Clubs, which is my card in Mars, right? So the King of Hearts becomes activated in me, and I need the King of Hearts in my Mars. So that's in overcoming obstacles or my work. So in order for me to overcome obstacles, I have to perform. I have to literally sometimes make noise, get crazy, perform, get animated. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I will not be seen. So Cardology has helped me discover that magical part of my gift, and that is the gift of performance. Mind you, I have a South Node Gemini, right? So we all know Gemini is a classic performer. So that being my South Node, these are gifts that I naturally have. I naturally have the ability to speak. I naturally have the ability to entertain. I naturally have the ability to capture an audience, right? So this is the skill that I need to tap into, the King of Hearts, in order for me to overcome obstacles. And my main obstacle is to be seen and heard. If I don't embody the power of the King of Hearts, people might not even remember I was there. You know what I mean? I've had situations like that. So I found that if I'm in a competitive situation and there's other people around and I'm just talking, they're just going to kind of just talk over me. They're going to, I'm just going to be like, oh, timid little girl. But if I sit up and I perform and I bring my King of Hearts, I can command the set. I can command the situation. I will be heard and I will be remembered. So knowing your chart, of course, is very important to knowing how to play the game and how to take advantage of these magical portals that open with eclipses and with retrogrades and all of these things. They're just portals. They're just opportunities. They're nothing to be afraid of, right? You just have to know. You have to know what opportunity, what portal is opening for me and take advantage of it. I want to check on my YouTube people. Hey, how are you? So it's interesting. Somebody brought up stuttering because Biden is a King of Hearts and he has a stuttering problem, right? But Biden needs to dig down into the performance aspect of the King of Hearts, and he could win over a lot of people if he did that. I mean, he's old, so of course he's not going around, kind of being a DMX, who's another King of Hearts, right? But ironically, you'll see a lot of memes with Biden in performance situations, where they're like switching his body. They're putting on hip hop gear on him and he's walking around doing these things. And people find it so entertaining. If he could literally be like that, he would be the world's best president. You would all love him. You wouldn't be able to help it. Does anybody have any questions? I got a couple of people here. I got Josephine here. I know I got Gina here. Y'all got some questions?
I'm just loving the moment.
Who's that?
This is Empress Rail.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. So you're loving the moment?
Yes, ma'am. Taking it all in.
Cool. So I know I pulled out an aspect of my cards. This is something that you can do. This is probably something that you want to do. You want to find out, and this is for the audience out there. You definitely want to find out your birth card, but you want to find out your birth spread. You want to find out those 13 cards. And excuse me, I got children right now. He's in black Jeep. I got children that are getting picked up. And this is the wonderful aspect of being Mars to the King of Hearts. My kids, my family is always involved. It's a big part of my work. And I just have to accept that. I will shut down a meeting to deal with my kids or to deal with something to my kids. And I can do that because it's in my cards, Sometimes you can't be afraid to live. And that's another thing. You can't be afraid to live with the blueprint that was given you. You got to work it to the best of its ability. If the blueprint gives you children that are disrupting your work, then you have to find a way to balance both, because your children are probably, they are, of course, equally as important, or if not more important than your work. If they're disrupting your work, then they're more important than your work. So anyway, you want to find out your life spread, right? And I challenge you to find out two very important cards. Of course, your Mercury card. And not only that, this is going to be a little bit complicated, because you want to find out if you've got obstacles that you're trying to overcome. Find out what card you are Mars to. Like, for instance, we got a 3 of diamonds here, which is Mars to the Queen of Clubs, right? So the Queen of Clubs is important for her in terms of overcoming obstacles. The Queen of Clubs is going to help her. So her intuition, organization, ability to communicate empathically, especially, all of these things are going to help her to overcome obstacles, right? So you want to know who you are Mars to. And see, I take everybody outside of the box. People are like, yeah, look at your life spread. But this is why you also got to look at the life spread of other people, because it's other people that cultivate who you are. It's other energies that really bring out the successful aspects of who you are, right? So, and because, again, I was talking about the lunar eclipse, which is like a 9 of spades. This is about breaking free. You know what I mean? This is literally about what will help you break free. What will help you break free of your obstacles? The card that precedes the 9 of spades is the 8 of spades, the card of overcoming obstacles. So that next card, you should be you should be on the path to breaking free of all obstacles and achieving the level of freedom that you want for your life. So it's very important to dwell on that this lunar eclipse. My goals, the worthy goals that are going to free me, that are going to allow me to have the freedom that I desire, right? And that means that you really, really, really need to know what that looks like, right? So if some of you have not even been doing hobbies or doing anything creative in your life, or don't have any passion for something other than work, then you don't even know what that looked like. Me personally, I have a lot of passions. I have a lot of things that I really love to do, right? Gobs of them, and they're literally sitting all around waiting for me to have the freedom to show up in order to do it, right? So when you have that passion, you're passionately putting out this energy saying that I need freedom. I need real freedom. I need financial freedom. I need everything to be in place so I can do the things that I love to do. So I can be the person that I want to be, right? And you're saying, universe, I command you. This is what I'm commanding you to do for me. That's how firm you have to be. It has to be real. You know what I mean? You got to have these real passions. You have to have these real things, because your goals, the things you're desiring to manifest are not work. You're not trying to make more work for yourself. You're trying to achieve freedom via work, right? But you'll find that it's not even really the work. You're just trying to achieve freedom. But you have to establish what that freedom looks like for you. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying worthy goals. Worthy goals is how you look on the other side of freedom. Those are worthy goals. So now is the time that anything holding you back from achieving that state can be broken. You can escape from the plantation. So again, that's why this is very important. These are very important times. These are like quantum leaps into freedom. Like, you know, I'm dodging this, I'm dodging that, I'm leaping, and I'm free to do some incredible things. Interestingly, I know some people now who are literally on the verge of doing some major things in their life that involve freedom that they've wanted to do. You should be there, but you have to know what it is, what freedom looks like. And that's why this is a Five of Hearts year. This Five of Hearts year is challenging you to discover for yourself what it looks like for you to be free, what it looks like for you to have happiness and joy. And this is not anything that's wrapped up in any other individuals. This is for you. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty. And I know it because of all these you got so much Gemini going on and you can't even get away from it. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. I think a lot is going to go down in June, you know, and it doesn't have to be bad. You know, a lot of great things can go down in June because guess what? June is the King of Clubs month. And the King of Clubs is the card of living your best life. So this is what is in store for you. This is what is being set up. The game is being set up for you to be able to live your best life. You need to ask yourself, what do you need to release? Who do you need to release? What do you need to let go of? What blocks are there? And forget about all of that. What does it look like on the other side? What does freedom look like for you? It has to have some passion. It has to be calling you. There needs to be something calling you on the other side. It has nothing to do with how much money you're going to make from it. It has nothing to do with, you know, accolades or anything. It's just what will make you happy. So if anybody has any questions, I'm going to look over at YouTube. Oh my God. We got lots of conversation going on in YouTube. And people are asking what their card is. You can go to AquariusMaximus.com. And right there on the landing page, you can put your birthday. You scroll down, you can put your birthday in the box and you can find your card. As a matter of fact, it's not going to just give you your card. It's going to give you that whole spread. The first card, the birth card, is your birth card. That is your main card. All of these other cards are super important to you as well. When I was talking about finding out who you are to other cards, that's a little bit more complicated. But don't you want to find out? Because those are the secrets to mastering the game. Those are the secrets to winning the game. Who you are to someone else and how their power can be your power. And I got phone calls. You guys got to excuse me because, again, the King of Hearts calls. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to answer some of the questions I see that might be in relevance to the conversation over here at YouTube, because there's a lot of questions that are coming up. Some people are saying that they actually have a King of Hearts. And if you have a King of Hearts, like I actually have a King of Hearts this year as well. That King of Hearts is very important to you. If you don't have a King of Hearts now, and you have a King of Hearts even next year, or it's your yearly card, or you are a King of Hearts, there's never been a greater time for you to tap into that power of the King of Hearts. And that's indicative by a president. The fact that we have a King of Hearts president and it affects so many people in the world says that the King of Hearts are in center stage right now. You know, we had the passing of DMX. We have other King of Hearts. And guess what? There is a versus coming up with Soulja Boy and Bow Wow. Soulja Boy is what? A King of Hearts. And Bow Wow is an Ace of Spades, right? So these are things that are pretty significant events. I know for some people they may not seem significant, but it's very significant. When I realized, you know, well, Soulja Boy is a King of Hearts, that here is the King of Hearts energy playing out yet again, right? So if I were you, I would watch it. I would watch Soulja Boy. I would watch how he moves, how he calls himself like the king of viral now, right? He's like, I started everything. I set off everything. And the King of Hearts is truly set off energy. Like it literally, when the King of Hearts is at its peak, they literally can bring something that's so you can't understand. It has an 8 of clubs in Uranus. So something that's so beyond your mind, right? Brilliance. And they can take that and put it into something that you will enjoy and you'll actually get it. You understand? Now, when they're not using their King of Hearts skills, then it's boring. Then it's like, I don't want to learn this. I can't get it. But when they're being a King of Hearts, remember when Soulja Boy was like, you know, when he did that famous, who me? What you talking? Like he did this whole big thing and it went viral. You know, just when he's being animated, when he's being a performer, when he is captivating the crowd with his energy, because the King of Hearts has a Jack of Spades and Saturn, and that's the actor. So I am reaching down into personalities that I have, and I'm bringing those personalities so you can see all of them. You can see the crazy side of me. You can see the smart side of me. You can see the funny side of me, all in one little performance. That's the power of it. And that's something that you need to dig into in any area of your life. So if you're trying to be the bomb astrologer, if you're trying to be the bomb author, whatever you're trying to be, if you put some performance energy into that, then you could really, really, really succeed. And you could really, really, really stand out from the crowd with that King of Hearts energy. I think we got some people popping in. Hi, Dahlia. Have some people popping in.
Hey, y'all.
How are you? So this is your opportunity, right? An opportunity, now that you've been warned, it takes planning, right? So this is an 8 of clubs week. This is the perfect, tomorrow is actually an 8 of clubs day. So this is the perfect energy. Tomorrow, on a moon day, day of the moon, on an 8 of clubs, which has a 3 of clubs in Saturn, which is paperwork, writing, planning, strategizing, being creative, create your magic, putting your magic, bringing that Saturn element to magic, manifesting. Tomorrow is a great day for you to get it together. Tomorrow. So my suggestion is you get up, you lay out your intentions, you add an element of Mercury retrograde and look back and see what's most important to you. Look back at some paperwork you got to do. Maybe it's some paperwork that's preventing you from getting something and achieving something of significance in your life. So look back and see, look back, take a look back, and start working on the finer details. You know what I mean? I told people this is also a great time to fix your credit. Why? Because you have eclipses involved, right? So it's time to eclipse that bad credit. It's time to eclipse those bills. Slip on in there. You know what I mean? So it's a great time to get things of negative things off of your credit. You're eclipsing it, right? The 3 of clubs is the card of Mercury Retrograde, which is paperwork. You know what I mean? So yes, we all know when you're working on your credit, they're telling you to do some paperwork. They're telling you to write some disputes. They're telling you to do this, do that. It's all involved in paperwork, right? And while you're doing it you're doing it in between this eclipse energy. So you're literally shredding this bad credit. You're shredding this debt. You're getting rid of it once and for all. That's another thing with the eclipse. I'm doing a class. Kids are coming in. Another thing with the eclipse, you're getting rid of things once and for all, right? So when you're working on your credit, you want to get things off your credit that don't come back. That's eclipse energy. So figure out whatever you want to eclipse out of your life, right? And it could be something as simple as bad credit. It could be something as simple as debt. Whatever it is you need to get rid of, this is the time to do it. Yes, closing out cycles. So I'm looking to see what's going on over in YouTube at the same time. So remember what I said. The 8 of clubs transformation card is the 9 of hearts, right? So, nines, again, they deal with releasing. They deal with releasing blockages, So the 9 of hearts is very instrumental in releasing things that make you angry, because anger makes your blood boil. Hearts deal with the blood. 9 of hearts deals with those old issues that are making your blood boil. You know what I mean? So this is actually, dealing with your heart, and your heart is where your desires are manifesting from. So if your heart is full of things, full of anger, full of things that are making your blood boil, then you don't have any room for the things that you desire and you love and you want to do. So this is good energy for working and getting rid of that as well. So I'm telling you, don't let this portal pass you by. It's serious. We're talking about a full moon, and the full moon, remember I said, is the 9 of spades, but the transformation card to the 9 of spades is the 10 of diamonds. That is your wish. That is what you need, what you want to receive, your greatest wishes, your biggest wishes. So you're releasing things that are obstacles. You're burning through things. You're cutting through things that are obstacles to your greatest wishes, which is even being aspected by Jupiter. So Jupiter is giving you a hand. You actually have a hand in this. So there's the luck aspect. So at any rate, I'm going to close this one down because I got to get to the kids and get them ready. I definitely will post this YouTube. If you have any questions, you might want to try to get them through the inbox or whatever. I'll try my best to answer some questions, but this is a real important time. Don't let anybody fool you. Don't let anybody make you think that nothing can be accomplished during this time. It's the opposite. Some of the biggest things are going to be accomplished by you in the next 45 days. Peace.
Thank you so much.